That we see.
See.
As we load into a romanticide, we're in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Poland. He is going to be representing Team Blazer. It's Krystianer.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Romanticide LE, we have the German Protoss player. He is red, representing Team Cascade Esports. It is GunGFuBanDa.
Now I'm going through my memory banks here, like just trying to remember the games on EU last season that we were able to cast. I vaguely remember a Krystianer game, or a Krystianer series rather, that lasted a total of about 8 minutes, I want to say.
I believe that did happen. Again, when it comes to, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching right now who maybe haven't heard of us cast before. Typically, we are endemic to the North American, Latin American, Oceanic, and Taiwan, Hong Kong regions. We typically cast those events. We don't typically have an in-depth knowledge or casting base here in Europe. So yeah, we're a little bit more limited here. But I will always remember GunGFuBanDa versus Neeb. On Eternal Empire, it was awful, mate. It was like an hour-long game. It was like a 2-hour or 3-hour-long series. Like, oh my god.
And I'm trying to remember if that was more because of Neeb or because of GunGFuBanDa, but now that I think about it, I feel like both of them sort of leaned into it a little bit, so we're getting a little bit of a yin and yang situation here. Krystianer, he likes his short games. GunGFuBanDa, more than willing to extend a game.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh god, that's out of Go Joey versus Bud always.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that in this PvP. As we are slowly getting underway with a couple of things here, we do see that Krystianer, as you were saying, is being the aggressor here, focusing on these adepts out of these gateway units. He's going to be sending them across the map.
That he will, just trying to get as much scouting information as damage as he can with his initial couple of units. GunGFuBanDa more than ready. Not only does he have the sentry in position for force fields, he also has a probe just waiting there, just in case.
Oh yeah, exactly. With this, again, this is a very safe opening from GunGFuBanDa. You know, you have your Stalker to help defend, you have your Sentry to go for that hallucinated scout, or the force field if need be. Meanwhile, Krystianer, he's not just going across the map with 2 adepts, he has 2 more on the way.
That he does. We're gonna get a 6.
I imagine so. Yeah, there we go.
Yep. And that is kind of the magic number here for adepts. With 6 adepts, you can try to go toe-to-toe against some of these stalkers, especially if your opponent's going pure stalker, but with sentries, it can be a little bit more difficult.
It can. Also, with these 6 adepts, like, even if a pylon or a shield battery gets thrown down, they can just brute force their way through it and just break into the main base. But of course, that's where these sentries come into play as well, to try and force field and stop that from happening.
Absolutely. Best case scenario is to use your shades just before they hit your ramp.
Exactly. The first 2 shades do show up. But as we were saying, you know, there is a shield battery to block things off there. Oh my god, that's a lot of adepts.
It's gonna need a little bit more than just 1. Thankfully, GunGFuBanDa does send a hallucinated Phoenix, should have a good idea of what Krystianer wants to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. He does have eyes on the adepts, and now they're all going to be coming out across the map. 8 of them in total. We did see a cancel on that shield battery, and oh god, the adepts are going to be shading in. They are spotted though.
That they are. A couple more stalkers are getting warped in. Sword shield battery should not be enough. There's that insta-kill, but the shade is still way off cooldown. Force fields are going to be enough to block every single one of the rest of the adepts out. Now, Krystianer, he does get a good scout off, and he is able to keep most of his adepts alive, but that's just a bit of a kick in the gut when you wanted to go for such a dedicated opening like this to get a ton of probe damage.
Exactly. I mean, there was a lot of potential there for Krystianer, but I think what's great about what he just did is that he didn't really lose too many adepts, right? Like, sure, a handful of them went down, but he still has all these, and they still pose a massive threat to GunGFuBanDa.
They really do. GunGFuBanDa is going to have to keep quite a force back at home, especially because if he leaves the natural base in particular alone for too long, I mean, it doesn't take much for a couple of Adepts to come in and completely wreck that mineral line.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, once again, we do have a shield battery. This time, Krystianer does not commit to the shade. He does back off, just kind of testing the waters, keeping GunGFuBanDa in check. And behind this, he throws down the third Nexus.
Yeah, gonna be the first player to get his third. Gonna be the first player to get charge and +1 as well.
Yeah, a very interesting decision here from Krystianer. He's not like wasting his time with Blink. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna skip that entirely. I'm going to go for a much faster charge instead.
Yeah, it can definitely be very potent come down, especially when he starts throwing Archons into the mix. But for now, he is still making his Immortals. Does not want to be caught with his pants down against GunGFuBanDa's Blink Stalkers.
Oh, exactly. Meanwhile, the Adepts actually shaded. They do focus down one of these sentries, but only one for now. Oh.
Fantastic body blocking coming out from GunGFuBanDa. Only one probe goes down throughout this entire ordeal.
Oof. Exactly. I mean, it's hard to say who came out on top there, as Krystianer did take down 2 sentries, but he lost all 6 of his Adepts for that. On top of that, he loses his map control. Now GunGFuBanDa, he can push out, he can be the aggressor.
He absolutely can. I do feel like Krystianer has a bit of an advantage, especially defender's advantage. Plus, he's got, what, 3 Immortals, a 4th one about to pop?
Jesus Christ.
GunGFuBanDa has to find them when they're not just isolated, but completely alone.
Like, he has potential, right? He has Blink on his Stalkers. Like, he can, like, pounce upon a vulnerable Immortal. But again, like, is that really going to happen? Is Krystianer going to allow that to happen? Meanwhile, he does send a couple of Adepts across the map, but there's no target fire. Instead, they will be cleaned up, and the Adepts, they blink into the natural.
Yeah, they do, and while Krystianer does not allow any of his Immortals to be isolated, he does allow some of his probes to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there was a nice blink in, got a couple of probes, and there were even some harassing Adepts.
Yeah, but Krystianer is starting to reciprocate across the map. GunGFuBanDa sneaks a Warp Prism into the main.
Oh my god,
Doesn't have enough warp in still.
Yeah, Krystianer, he was a little bit too preoccupied trying to warp in at home, trying to warp in defensively against GunGFuBanDa, and meanwhile, the Blink Stalker is actually blinking to the main.
Nicely done. Oh no, these gateways are going to get depowered. Pylon's going to have to go down in order for the Immortals on the low ground to get back in. In the meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa picks apart probe after probe after probe.
Wow, 11 probes go down, and we had the recall on top of that. GunGFuBanDa, he does get back home safe and sound with the majority of his army. Beautifully done there by GunGFuBanDa, especially because of the kind of earlier losses that he sustained, especially because of the later third base that he got up and running, because Krystianer was able to expand a little bit faster. And with this, GunGFuBanDa, he takes the economic lead.
Yeah, the gap is definitely close to the point where GunGFuBanDa is overtaking him. He just went from a slight lead to a comfortable lead, but I would not underestimate Krystianer's army right now. He is still just trying to round it up, gets a couple of High Templars in, a couple of Archons, but Krystianer is posturing to push out very, very soon.
Yeah, it's dangerous though when you're up against Archons, right? When you're this invested into charge lots. Meanwhile, it looks like GunGFuBanDa, he's rounding out his own army, getting into his own Archons. I'm kind of like keeping an eye on the production tab to see if we do see a robotic spade thrown down. There we go. I'm like, who's gonna go first? Like, who is going to go for those disruptors? And it looks like GunGFuBanDa is the first player to bite.
Well, it definitely does complement Stalkers a bit more than they complement Charge Lots, although GunGFuBanDa is going for both Twilight Council upgrades. Krystianer is looking ahead at a bit of an angle here, and I still think he has a slightly better army. He has a more high-tech army,
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, that Immortal count, like, that, what more is there to say?
Yeah.
Oh god, but at the same time, there's a lot of Zealots here. Obviously, these Archons are ideal against the Zealots, but if GunGFuBanDa is able to control nicely and just hold off a little bit on those charge, not allow them to just move in willy-nilly, like, I mean, GunGFuBanDa, he can take this fight, especially with those shield batteries.
Yeah, the Archon's up his zone. He just needs to keep his charge lots on as tight a leash as possible. Not a lot of anti-air here, though!
Ooh.
Warp Prism will survive and will get a warp in. plenty of Zealots just causing so much chaos in the main base. The Immortals are finally low. The War Prism gets sniped.
Oh my god, not just
the army.
Exactly, not just the War Prism, but both the Immortals go down as well. There are only charge-outs here. They're gonna get cleaned up. At the same time, Krystianer, he tries to push in, but the main army of GunGFuBanDa is ready and waiting at the third.
Wow, look at those defensive structures.
Man.
Packed up tight. It's such a choke point as well. Both players are really going to start to lose chargelets, but GunGFuBanDa had no reason to give up that ground. Krystianer, if he wanted to, would be losing a ton of chargelets to the Archons by pushing in.
Yeah, exactly. What I will say is that, again, you know, the big advantage that Krystianer has is that he did go for a 4th base behind this. It is so much faster compared to GunGFuBanDa. That's kind of the tail of this. Like, he's always the aggressor and always the first to expand. But does he have the army? Mate, the disruptor.
Well,
up.
So to come in, picks off a couple of chargelets and badly weakens some of these Archons. But Krystianer has more than enough health in his army. There's plenty of beef on these bones.
Yeah, but you know what? A second disruptor is showing up here. The first one's Purification Nova is already off cooldown.
It is. So there's going to be 2 Novas here, and this is a very awkward position to be in when you're fighting against disruptors. Look how much damage those Immortals took. Archons just barely unable to go down.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, Krystianer cannot push into this choke point. That was the ideal scenario for GunGFuBanDa. But unfortunately for GunGFuBanDa, he doesn't have any stack defense here at the 4th base. It is so vulnerable.
Yeah, apparently he doesn't have to push through the choke point. He just has to make it past it. Very delicate control on these Purification Novas too.
Yeah.
Takes out Krystianer's Zealots and not his own.
I'm impressed that he got them off and he kept the disruptors alive. Like, they were so exposed at the front of the army. I thought they were going to go down even before the Purification Novas went off, but no, they were perfect there from GunGFuBanDa, and now there's not too much of a buffer here for Krystianer.
I mean, he's trying to get more of a buffer with a Warp into Chargelets, but there's barely anything to buffer left. More Immortals are starting to go down. And while Krystianer is pulling ahead, he's getting a 5th base while GunGFuBanDa is on 3. Went behind. Dark Shrine.
True. What I will say is that I am really concerned for GunGFuBanDa, not going to lie. Dark Shrine does finish up, but as you said, he's on 3 bases. He's down 2 bases right now. I do think that he has a superior army because of the disruptors, so maybe he can make something happen here. Oh my god.
Oh, it's a really good choke point to fight in as well as GunGFuBanDa. Starting to zone out the army. Does get a lot of Zealots, and I believe he killed a couple of Immortals. But the Archons are still ready and waiting, and that's really the backbone of Krystianer's army right now.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, it looks like there was a War Prism that dove into the main base of GunGFuBanDa, but he had an army here ready and waiting to defend. He does clean it up. He does take it all out. Meanwhile, bit of a Zealot run by, but it was spotted by a spotter Zealot of GunGFuBanDa, so he should be aware. Yeah, we're okay, man. We got the Blink Stalkers. We're good.
Mate. Yeah, it's such a good SimCity as well. GunGFuBanDa just trying to find a bit of an angle here, but both players are really keeping tabs on one another. It's hard to get the jump on them.
It really is. It really is. I'm just worried because, again, Krystianer, he's getting away with this with this fresh base. I was hoping that GunGFuBanDa would be a little bit more aggressive with his disruptors. Like, he keeps taking favorable engagements, but just not enough of them.
Yeah, it's definitely being a bit more conservative, trying to find that one juicy Purification Nova, but sometimes it does only take one. We'll see if this is finally his opportunity. Krystianer with a mass warp in.
Yeah, exactly, but unfortunately that warp in was stationary. Disruptor shot goes off. Another one does as well. We have more where that came from, buddy.
It almost feels like that warp in was neutralized. There's no anti-air here, but one Archon. That War Prism is having a pretty fine time moving away. The Immortals look pretty exposed, but they do get hot picked up. Sometimes Zealots are all you need, though, as they break through. Here come the reinforcements from GunGFuBanDa.
They do come in, but you know what? But GunGFuBanDa, he's missing his own Archons. They're not here to help deal with these charges. Despite that, he has enough. He takes out the War Prism. He takes out the Immortals as well. There are only Zealots and a single Archon left.
How is he getting that many chargelets with his Purification Novas?
Yeah.
It feels like they're magnetic.
They're so good. Again, this is the power of the Disruptor. This is the power of the Great Equalizer. And this is why I'm shocked that Krystianer hasn't gone for them. He hasn't tech switched at all. He's still stuck with Charged Out Archon.
Yeah, seems a little bit reluctant to go into any spellcasting units. He's also limited his sentry count to just a few hallucinations.
Yeah, exactly. What I will say though is that because of Krystianer's like economy, and he just keeps expanding, he just keeps taking more bases. He has so many minerals to work with that he just keeps like just warping in wave after wave after wave of charge slots, and they're enough to like just barely hold on. I do wish that he had a bit of a more sophisticated army though, because it's just Charger Archon, and we're 15 minutes into the game. Like, oh god.
We are. It's almost like a game Civ where Krystianer is still in the ancient era with Clubmen, and GunGFuBanDa has like tanks.
Yeah, like again, like
Men.
he's still got the immortals from the early game. He has the disruptors, which he keeps pumping out. Meanwhile, you were talking about those DTs earlier. We have Dark Stride on the way. Blink for those DTs is gonna come into play. Uh-oh.
And detection is pretty limited right now for Krystianer, but GunGFuBanDa will be forced to use those ETs defensively.
That he will.
And a couple of good pickoffs here for our Rip Protoss player.
Yeah, a massive warp in of Zealots here in the main base. But as you said, like, because there are DTs to defend and there's no detection from Krystianer, eventually GunGFuBanDa will clean everything up and he takes out the 4th base. Or the 3rd.
Yeah, the Zealots being warped in across the map. Also means they're not here. Oh, a couple of Archons go down for GunGFuBanDa. Is able to take out a lot of charges with that, but is it gonna be enough? Recalls only half the army, and GunGFuBanDa takes the first of his major losses in the engagements this game.
I don't even know if he needed to recall there. I guess like he didn't have a lot of room to get his purification overs off because the army was just right on top of him. So that was a pretty big loss. And then suddenly Krystianer, he's kind of evening up the supply. Kind of.
He really is, yeah. Not make too much here. If GunGFuBanDa continues to produce, then he should be even with Krystianer here. It's gonna be a while before either player really pulls ahead.
It's one of those things where it's been great to see GunGFuBanDa pull off these purification overs, but it's so difficult to do, right? Like, again, when the charge-outs come in, like, to try and hit those charge-outs without hitting your own army, we'll see if he can keep it up. Right now, he also shaves off a couple of Zealots for free. Blink did finish for his DTs.
That they have. Gonna find a very specific angle to push into, though. Now our cannon's out now. Oh, but if this gets taken out, there goes the detection.
Wow.
Forced to recall the observer.
Nicely done there by GunGFuBanDa. What's important about this is that he pulls the attention of the army here towards the bottom left, and his army pushes in towards the top left.
Funnily enough, though, the bottom left is kind of where some of GunGFuBanDa's bases are. Okay,
True.
He's starting to expand more towards the north.
He is, and meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa's army gets straight into the natural base. The Dark Stride just finished up with Maze, so it's gonna go down.
Not even able to cancel that. Not even the last minute cancel. More purification overs going down the ramp. Krystianer gonna have a bit of a tough time pushing into this. He's got plenty of Archons, though. Got a lot of health on them, and they should be able to break on through, but at what cost? The chargeless have gone down for Krystianer, and the army is still very much in play for GunGFuBanDa.
Yeah, exactly. The Chargers are coming in here. Meanwhile, we do have Chargers from behind. At the same time, we do have a Zealot run by, but it looks like it has been dealt with. Can GunGFuBanDa finally push through? Oh, it looks like he cannot.
Yeah, if it was pure Archon, so Stalkers would have field day jumping on top of them, but the Chargers are doing such a good job of sandwiching his entire army! I feel like that took out more Stalkers than charge slots.
Yeah, it was a tough call to make for GunGFuBanDa. In the end, he does barely come out on top with his reinforcements. But again, like, the problem is that Krystianer's trading so well. Like, he's trading so many Zealots.
Or he was, but now that the detection has been taken out for Krystianer.
True.
It'll be a bit of a different story with these DTs. Take a while for an observer to get in position.
There's no observer. Krystianer doesn't have a single observer. Go for it, buddy. Go for it. Only cannons give detection here for Krystianer. Krystianer isn't even remaking the observer. Oh my god.
He's like, nah.
Oh god, feels bad.
Let the game go on a little bit. We're on Romanticide. Might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Krystianer has said enough of that, though. GG is called, and GunGFuBanDa takes game number 1.
GG. Krystianer left in the dust there when it came to his army composition. GunGFuBanDa it did feel like perpetually ahead towards the end there. Obviously, there was no killing move, but it looked like Krystianer didn't have a plan B, or a next step, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very impressed with Krystianer's macro. He expanded as greedily as he could get away with. He threw down as much production as he could keep up with. It's just at the end of the day, it took him a very long time to tech up.
He didn't tech up.
I mean, that's all he could. Yeah, I mean, he barely teched up. He tried to get a Dark Shrine, but I got sniped.
Yeah.
He was getting like a Stargate right towards the end, I believe, but that didn't have enough time to come into play. Really does feel like he's a lot more comfortable in these sort of tier 1.5 units, which very understandable. I mean, I'm a Terror player, so that's ideally where I want to stay the entire game.
It makes sense. It does make sense. As we're trying to set up the lobby here. Oh my god, can I get it? Can I get it? Can I find it?
I got Gung Fu. I got Gung Fu.
Nice, good job, man. Good job. Good job. Can we get?
Yeah,
beautiful.
We are. Yeah. I was about to ask, which position is KN in the alphabet? I was wondering, we're just trying to get the logos mod. We're just trying to input the players into the logos mod.
That we were. What I will say about Krystianer's style there, it did look very Haas-esque, where we've seen Haas recently just like expand and like really focus on his economy and just send like wave after wave after wave of zealots across the map, and it looked like he was just trying to overwhelm and overpower GunGFuBanDa. But mate, GunGFuBanDa, like, yo, it's doing his best Showtime impression.
Yeah, by all rights, Krystianer should have, but GunGFuBanDa somehow was able to find those perfect purification overs that took out like half of Krystianer's chargelets and none of his own. How does that happen? Well, let's find out here on 2000 Atmospheres LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have a red Protoss player coming out from the land of Germany, Deutschland. He is going to be representing Cascade Esports. He's not quite the Mauer, but he may be. I forgot all my German all of a sudden. He is GunGFuBanDa.
Hey, what do you mean all you barely know German? What are you on about?
Das Fahrrad.
What does that mean?
Das Flugzeug. Das Feuerzeug.
Oh god. Meanwhile, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Polish Protoss player. He is blue, representing Team Blazer. Currently down 0-1 in this best of 3. Can he bring it back? It is Krystianer.
Das Apfelsaft.
Can we get any Germans in the chat to confirm whether or not Yaku is pronouncing that correctly? Can we... Oh god.
Also means the apple juice.
The apple? What are you? What are you
I'm
doing?
researching. I'm digging deep into my memory banks for some vocabulary.
You're like, look. It's been months since I've done Duolingo. Okay, I'm. And even when I was doing it, for some reason, I was learning Polish. I don't know.
Oh, speaking of learning Polish.
Yo.
Leaning a little bit into what we come to expect from him. And this is sneaky.
I'm expecting another gateway here, right? The Cybercore has been done for a while. We have Adepts coming across the map. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa did go for a probe scout. He should be aware that something is amiss, and there it is. Oh, it's actually a rowboat. Ooh, interesting.
Oh my.
Okay.
I'm starting to worry a little bit here for Krystianer. He really needs to keep this in for the longest time, because the minute GunGFuBanDa sees that, throw it on 2 shield batteries, start getting, well, I suppose he does have a robot facility of his own, but yeah, just throw on 2 shield batteries, close enough in position to overcharge them and overwhelm with stalkers of his own.
And I was about to say that GunGFuBanDa is... Yeah, I was about to say that he's like, you know, scouring the edges of the map, and he kind of is, but he's going for his own proxy as well. Like, he's going to be aggressive. Meanwhile, he does catch a couple of depths in the middle of the map, but he still has not seen this rover, and the Immortal is on the way.
Uh-oh.
Mate, it's been a long time since we've seen Proxy Immortal.
It really has, for good reason. Definitely GunGFuBanDa is getting a couple of shield batteries here and there, just keeping him safe, but there are going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of exposed production facilities that Krystianer can try to snipe.
Oh yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, already GunGFuBanDa is losing a couple of Stalkers here, almost loses a second. At the same time, he does trade relatively well against those of Krystianer. But what I'm worried about is that the first Immortal is done. We have a second on the way. Like GunGFuBanDa, he still doesn't have eyes on this. He's still committing to the aggression across the map. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Absolute most wrong reaction you could have, I think.
Yeah, like there's no shield batteries at home. There we go. Finally, we have a shield battery on top of the ramp. Maybe we're gonna see a sentry to force field the ramp, but here we go. Krystianer's going in, but at the same time, so is GunGFuBanDa.
Bit of an awkward early game base trade we've got here. There are a couple of sentries here, but Krystianer is gonna do his best to bait out those force fields. Actually forces a recall.
Oh my god, just recall the Immortal. Yeah, and I still feel like this Immortal hasn't been seen, by the way. Okay, there we go.
That probe did not die in vain.
Exactly. Oh, the flanking Immortal!
Yeah, these Stalkers might die in vain, though. A couple of them do make it out of there, forces a recall of his own. And now GunGFuBanDa is going to do a complete 180 when it comes to his stance. He tried to counter aggression with aggression. Now he knows to just lean into that by playing a bit more defensive. A lot more defensive, jeez. Yeah,
well, I mean, there's a reason why, like, these proxy Immortal pushes, like, stopped, and that's because of the shield battery. Is this going to be enough? Like, again, Immortals, they can focus down these shield batteries, even with overcharge.
They can, but it's going to be tricky when the force fields are pushing them back. I do think that Krystianer is just enough to start one-shotting these Stalkers, but I'm not entirely certain. The Immortal of GunGFuBanDa does come out. The shield battery gets focused down, but a lot of units for GunGFuBanDa are still alive. I suppose you'd rather lose a shield battery than your units, right?
Oh, definitely. I was a little bit worried that the pylon was going to be focused down. I was like, oh god, there's a bit of an Artosis pylon there. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa, you're always feeling confident enough to push out. His main is vulnerable though. The War Prism is coming in.
Very vulnerable. The probe does see it, but it's still going to take a while for Mercenary Army to get into position. The Immortal is out, and we'll defend the probes for now, but there's still an opportunity for Krystianer to just completely target fire and focus entirely on probes instead of fighting the army.
Exactly. What's very important to note is that Krystianer is still on one base, by the way. Like, oh boy, he's still only on one base economy. It looks like he's backing up. It looks like maybe he wants to go for an expansion. He's kind of opted. Oh no, never mind. He just goes for another warp in.
Yeah, I guess that's a duality of Protoss. You're tempted to give in and get an expansion, but deep down in your heart, you know that keeping up the aggression just feels so right.
As a Protoss player, just feels so right, mate. It's what it's about. Meanwhile, we're gonna end up in a pseudo base trade. Like GunGFuBanDa, he's sending everything across the map. And meanwhile, Krystianer is pushing into the natural. Who's gonna flinch first? Is anyone going to recall?
Well, those defensive structures aren't of much use when there's nothing to defend.
Yeah, and GunGFuBanDa, there it is. He goes for the recall.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit delayed. Only one shield battery left. Should be able to have an overcharge. Okay, that was actually one in the mineral line that was missing a little. Good force fields coming out, really isolating the high-tech units of Krystianer. 20 probes have gone down, though. So long as Krystianer keeps enough of his army alive, there's no way GunGFuBanDa can recover.
Yeah, exactly. Every single probe goes down. There are 4 Immortals. GG gets called, and Krystianer ties up the series 1-1. With a proxy void robo.
I feel a little reinvigorated here, Light.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see more proxy robos out now that Krystianer's made it work again.
Yeah, it's something that at least we haven't seen too often anymore. It's been quite some time since we've seen proxy robo. Remember, there was a period last year where we would always see in PvPs proxy robo versus proxy Stargate, for example. But yeah, Krystianer, bringing it back and making it work.
At least once in a best of series.
Right. Oh god. But yeah, in the end, unfortunately, GunGFuBanDa went out across the map. He was maybe hoping that to force Krystianer back home or something of that nature, but Krystianer, mate, he was just waiting outside the main, just dove back in. And just like that, mate, GG.
What false move. Yeah, I definitely get moving out across the map as GunGFuBanDa. I don't believe he was aware that Krystianer was still in one base, so for all he knew, he had to go across and equalize damage. But if he just stayed back at home, he would have had those shield batteries, those overcharges, and
Yeah.
Definitely a lot more units out.
It's one of those things. A lot of people were saying that, yo, GunGFuBanDa, he's so patient in game number 1. And you're not wrong. He was very patient. He was very careful. In game 2, he kind of like threw all that like caution. He threw caution to the wind, you know? Like, as you said, because he had the base advantage, all he had to do was stay at home and defend, but he was also in the dark. He didn't know that.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa was patient. Now he's patient.
There you go, mate. There you go.
Last thing you want to be.
Aye. And here we go. We are diving into the ace match. This still could go either way as we are loading in to Jagannatha.
Ooh. I expect to see double proxies coming out on Jagannatha in particular.
Would GunGFuBanDa, would he proxy? Has he lost his... Is he now patience? Is that happening?
I want that to be a thing, like a story that Protoss players tell their children. If you get too impatient, or if you use up too much of your patience, or if you're too patient, patience is going to come in and affect your play a little bit. It's going to make you blink into awkward positions, but that is to be determined as we conclude our best of 3 series here on Jagannatha LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have a blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Poland. He is going to be representing Team Blazer. We have Krystianer.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha ALE, we have the German Protoss player. He is red, representing Cascade Esports. With the tied-up series 1-1, can he close this out? It is GunGFuBanDa.
I'm just keeping my eyes on the mini-map right now. I don't see any, little dots moving across. Looking to find some dark corner of the map.
Not yet, mate. Not yet.
Yeah, both players just very much keeping to themselves. But now that the double gateway is thrown down, this is the time.
This is the time. We do have 2 double gate openings. We just have GunGFuBanDa just scouring the edges of the map just in case he finds and comes across some kind of proxy pylon. Meanwhile, Krystianer going for that probe scout.
He will just straight up across the map. GunGFuBanDa definitely trusts his opponent a lot less than Krystianer does. Oh! Never mind! It ain't about trust! It's about losing his mind.
I was about to say, Trust did return to competitive play. Like, he's back, mate.
God damn
it. Here we go. So right now, GunGFuBanDa, he is waiting for his Cybercore to finish up. It's about to finish up, and then he can throw down his proxy. There it is. It is going to be a Stargate.
Yeah, not gonna be too insane here from GunGFuBanDa. Still something that we do see fairly often in PvP. Important thing is, though, that Krystianer had a very good eye on that main base. He sees that there's a pylon missing. He sees that GunGFuBanDa isn't going for an expansion, which, to be fair, it would be kind of would be a little greedy to go for an expansion this early in PvP.
It would. Like, what is this, Oxide? We're not gonna see that here. Meanwhile, Krystianer, with this information, he still has not found said proxy. He is scouring. Oh, it looks like he may actually come across it. Oh, just barely.
Oh, just barely. Does he see it?
Oh, he sees the pylon. He knows.
And then he goes back to confirm. He sees the Stargate. He sees the Oracle in production. Just grab a couple of Stalkers back home. He even has a Twilight Council, so Blink isn't out of the equation.
And there we go. That's exactly what I expected to see. We have a shield battery in the main base that will protect the entire mineral line against the pulsar beam of the Oracle. We have Stalkers, which, I mean, may stay at home. It's up to him. He could just go across the map. Like, shield battery is more than enough to deal with one Oracle at least. And there's only going to be one.
Yeah, 2 can start one-shotting the probes, but when you already have Stalkers chipping away at that pylon, looking to depower that Stargate,
yeah,
it's going to be a very different scenario. Exactly. The map gets a little fuzzy.
Meanwhile, the Oracle is diving in. I mean, sure, it can't pulsar beam the workers in the middle line, but he can throw down the stasis. Yeah.
Not if it's using up its energy already, though. Oh, look at that. Even the battery overcharged. Krystianer doesn't need this. But he can, because why not? Just a power flex. I have this much energy, GunGFuBanDa. Sure, you're trying to expand now, but I already have my Stalkers across the map. What are you gonna do about it? You don't have shield batteries, or... Well, now you have shield batteries, but you don't have overcharge.
What's important is that, mate, you got shield batteries, they're in the natural. They are not in the main. They are not where it counts, because the Stalkers, they do bust into the main base. Workers are falling. Stalkers are falling, and yo, is this the end of the end for GunGFuBanDa? He gets us around.
Ooh. Very nicely done. Krystianer trying to kite as best he can, but was caught off guard with that probe flank. Forced to recall, which might actually be more beneficial for him. He does want to keep up this aggression, though.
Man, he's got so many Stalkers, and what's scary is that Blink is almost done. There we go, we do see a stasis ward, but Krystianer, he is very quick to respond. Only 2 probes get stasis, and I mean, GunGFuBanDa, he should be aware. He saw the Twilight Council researching. He knows that Blink is on the way. He doesn't know that there's a proxy right next to his face.
And he does not, and it's one of those things where, even though he knows what's coming his way, can he do anything about it other than accept his fate?
I don't, mate, there are so many Stalkers. They can one-shot. There we go. They do one-shot Stalker after Stalker. Every single Stalker goes down.
Immortal completely alone, far away from the shield batteries or any other units. GG is called.